I want to tell you the story of Iphigenia. Is it a myth? Maybe. Maybe not. But it was a long time ago. Iphigenia's father was Agamemnon, a general, in charge of taking the Greek fleet to Troy for the war. An important guy. Too bad he had offended a goddess earlier. You can see where this is heading. Agamemnon had a harbor full of boats and no way to make them move. The angry goddess would not make the wind blow unless he sacrificed his daughter. It's a tough call. He had some trouble deciding what to do. He tricked Iphigenia into coming down to the harbor by pretending he had arranged a marriage for her. But she found out the truth. And then, lucky for him, she volunteered. At the last minute, when the goddess was sure that Agamemnon would go through with the sacrifice, she replaced Iphigenia with a deer. The wind began to blow. What happened to Iphigenia? No one can say for sure. But of course, there are lots of stories. About a year ago, I had been out with some friends one night and I was coming home on my bike. It was pretty late and I was quite tired. I had just gotten to the bottom of a big hill near my house when I lost control of the bike. Just for a second, but I swerved into a parked car and broke the mirror off the driver's side door. I really didn't think I was going fast enough to do any damage. I felt terrible and I wasn't sure what to do. I walked around a little bit, but there was no one on the street and no sign of which house or apartment the car might belong to. So, in the end, I picked the mirror up off the street and put it on the hood of the car. And I wrote a really apologetic note with my phone number and left it under the windshield wiper. And that was it. I just kept riding up the hill.
About a year ago, I had been out with some friends one night and I was coming home on my bike. I was totally in control, but yeah, all right. I had probably had one beer more than I should have. But whatever, it was late and there was almost no traffic on the street, so it wasn't really a big deal. Everything was going fine until I got to the bottom of the big hill near my house. I don't know what happened, but just for a second, I lost control of the bike. I plowed into this parked car, and my leg just took the driver's side mirror right off, which really, really hurt. I had this huge, awful bruise for weeks afterwards. I felt bad about the mirror, but the car was actually in pretty rough shape already. Which is probably why the mirror just came off like that. So at least it's not like I wrecked a brand new car. Of course, I left a note with my phone number, but I never heard from anyone.
It's always interesting to hear how you say things.
Thanks. Likewise.
Quite a few years ago, my dad and I got in the habit for a couple of months of leaving each other notes. The car I was using to drive to my summer job was parked in his garage. Every morning I would walk to his house to pick up the car, drive to work, then drop the car off at the end of the day and walk back to my mom's. My dad was working very long days around then, so he was always gone when I got to his house in the morning, and not home yet when I was there in the afternoon. On the first morning of my picking up the car, he had left a pad of writing paper on the kitchen table with a note on it, just saying something about making sure to lock up the garage or some kind of instruction like that. When I dropped off the car that afternoon, I wrote a little message at the bottom of his note to say that the day had gone well and everything was fine with the car. The next morning, there was a new note waiting for me. And so without planning it, we just fell into this daily routine. Usually the notes were about nothing in particular. My dad would say, "I have a family of robins nesting in the bush by the front door. 5 blue eggs. If it doesn't rain this weekend, I'll mow the lawn." I would say, "I stopped for an ice cream on my way home today. I got cherry and chocolate." I'm thinking about getting my hair cut. How short do you think I should go? Dad would just flip the pages of the pad over to start a new note rather than tearing out the sheets. So throughout the summer, we watched our messages to each other pile up, like we were writing a book together, a little bit at a time. To tell you the truth, the thing I find most poignant isn't Iphigenia herself, in spite of her youth and her willingness to be sacrificed. The image of all those boats stuck in the harbor with no wind, bobbing. It's ridiculous, but I find it really sad when things can't fulfill their purpose, when they can't do what they're meant to do. I know I shouldn't feel sorry for these boats since they're going to start a war, but when I think about them, I can't help but want them to be able to get moving. So now it's your turn. Is there something you want to tell? Write it down. Maybe it's what you did earlier today or what you're going to do later. Maybe it's how many brothers and sisters you have or why you're afraid of heights. Maybe it's something you've never told anyone, or maybe it's something you talk about all the time. If you don't know what to write, write, I don't know. If you don't want to write anything, write, I don't want to. But don't be scared. We'll have help, and sometimes other people can say what you can't. So go ahead. This is our chance to get moving.